Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the moment you all have been waiting for. Live on the Kingdoms podcast. Introducing a mixed martial artist with a professional record of 22 wins and 2 losses. Fighting out of the United States of America, Raufeon Super
Let's
Stots.
go.
Let's
Let's
go,
go.
baby. Stats, how are you doing today? How are you?
Man, I'm doing pretty good, man. I cannot complain. I'm doing pretty good.
And of course, congratulations on your recent win over Danny Sabatello. And how are you celebrating this big win?
I just DM everybody that been DMing him from his camp. Just naughty things and FUs and middle fingers and laughy faces. No, I've been chilling, man. I've been
You've you've practically been an internet troll.
yeah, I'm a troll.
Wow,
I'm
wow,
a
wow,
troll to
wow.
the trolls that trolled me. No,
Oh, wow, interesting.
other than besides that, because that's probably my pastime. Besides that, I just been chilling out with the family. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska with my wife's family, and we're just hanging out.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. But then, do you think that rivalry is closed, or do you think we're going to see a trilogy sometimes in the future?
I mean, as far as me, the rivalry could be closed. Obviously, I won 2 times. He hasn't won any, fights, so it can be closed. But on the other hand, I'm not opposed to, like, if he wants to fight again, or if somebody wants to pay me to fight him again, if somebody gives me a contract with his name on it, I'm gonna take it every time. I'm gonna beat
Yeah.
him up every single time because I do not like that kid. And every time I get to make him bleed, that's probably it just adds happiness to my life. So I'm more happy the more I get to beat him up. So um
It sounds quite personal for you because I saw that post fight interview with Big John McCarthy, right? And
yeah.
there you're like, anybody who pays you to beat him up, you are going to do that.
Yeah.
Why is it personal though?
It started like before we were gonna fight. I seen him just calling out everybody, pretty much everybody that didn't have any wrestling. So I see him as like a bully. Like, he's gonna bully people that he feels like he can bully because he's a good wrestler. And you know I, for me, when I see a bully, I see a coward. Somebody who's good at being a tough guy, but not so good at taking it back. So and I don't like that. I don't like that mentality. I don't like, even his, yeah, I don't like his face, I don't like his hair, I don't like, no, I just don't like, how he carries himself, how he talks to people that he feels like he can beat up. And yeah, so I just don't like him. I don't like his the character traits he's shown. I don't like.
So as a fighter, right? Would you say the motivation is different when you're fighting another athlete that you personally dislike? Would you say the motivation during that fight is different
I would
as
I
opposed
would
to
say
fighting
I
someone
would
you
say is
respect?
for me, I would say it's different, and I would say it's better for me to prepare, or it's easier, I should say. It's easier for me to prepare for somebody that I don't like, um, as opposed to like somebody that I have respect for. I want to see do great things. It's harder for me to prepare for somebody who like I respect. It's easy. I wake up in the morning and imagining uh punching Danny is pretty motivating to me. So and come with or what comes with that is like this part, the after part, where I can talk as much as I can talk and he can't say nothing. Like that part is like also very motivating because like right now I know he's at home just like punching the air, freaking throwing darts at my face on the wall. I know he's upset. I know he's really mad, and I would hate to be in that position, especially after talking so much. So yeah, it's super easy to be motivated against somebody I don't like.
Yeah, you fighters get to talk smack a lot, a lot of trash talking, right?
Yeah.
But would you say even when you don't like that person, sharing time with that person in the cage, in the octagon, right? Would you say that actually brings out some respect, regardless of whether you like that person or not? Does that make you respect the person after doing the man
No,
dance?
I definitely respect him as a fighter. I respect him more as a fighter after this last fight. You know, he actually came out there and he put all his chips on the line, and he came out there and he tried to fight. You know, to the best of his ability. Of course, I feel like his ability is trash. He sucks, but he put himself out there. So I have to respect that. You know. I feel like I gained more respect for him the second fight than I did the first fight, but it don't really change like how I feel about how he carries himself, you know. Like I respect him as a fighter. And yeah, and it's even hard for me to say that just because I don't like him. But yeah, I and he's been in there in 8 rounds with me. So I have to respect, like I'm kind of forced to respect him as a fighter. Just because he's took some of my best shots, you know, and I'm trying to hurt him. I'm trying to like I'm trying to, you know, get him out of there. So I gotta respect him in that regard.
Okay, speaking of respect, I do respect you personally, and I've actually followed your journey since 2021. You recollect, I reached out to you after your fight with Magomedov, right? And then to congratulate you,
Yeah.
I saw a fellow Nigerian brother. I'm always very big on Nigerians succeeding at anything in life, and then I love mixed martial arts a lot, looking at yourself, looking at the wonderful things yourself, Kamaru Usman, my boy Easy are doing, at the global stage. It's really wonderful to see Nigerians succeeding. And kudos to you for flying the flag, and making us proud.
Yes,
So
sir.
basically, the podcast is about sharing the stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things, right? And who better
Mhm.
than an ordinary person like yourself doing extraordinary things to have on the pod. It's really wonderful to have you. So basically we are going to like head straight into talking about your journey, your story as a person, right?
Cool.
So how would you describe yourself in a nutshell?
I would describe myself, man, in a nutshell, I think just a funny, funny, fun loving athlete, I guess. Or funny, fun loving fighter, I would say. Like in a nutshell, that's probably encompasses a lot of who I am.
Okay, how about outside of sports? What would you describe yourself as?
I would describe myself as a family man, um, a family man and what like a kind of team player, teammate, freaking like I like to family member. You know, I like to like uplift people outside of here. You know, so whatever I can do, you know, to kind of help my family and help my teammates, help the people around me. That's kind of me. You know. I also, I mean, I talk shit to all my family and all my teammates and stuff too. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay, speaking of family, right? That actually leads to that's quite connected to the next question. So the next question basically is, how was childhood and growing up like for you?
How was what?
Your childhood,
Oh, my
like
childhood.
when you were a child, yes, and
Yeah.
how's growing up like for you?
Yeah. So I grew up my so I grew up, my dad is Nigerian. My dad moved here for college to America, and then my mom is from America. They split up when they were young, you know, or when I was young, I should say. They were young too. And so I lived with my mom for a lot of the time, and I would like frequent with my dad. You know, when my mom would let me kind of go over there. And yeah, so my mom was a single mom kind of three she had three kids, you know. So she was somebody who was like kind of scratching and clawing to get out of like poverty and stuff like that. But she just kept taking like steps in the right direction, like getting better jobs, furthering her education, like all on her own. And you know, so we moved, but we moved kind of to better places. We started in like Section 8 housing, and then we moved to like a better apartment, then to another better apartment, to you know a house. Then she like was able to like purchase a house. So I watched my mom like literally claw herself out of poverty. So I feel like that really like help kind of build a uh, a hardworking trait in me. And also, yeah, I had two younger brothers, so I was an older brother. So a lot of the times, I was the one who was uh who they were like looking up to, who they
So
were.
you're the firstborn, right?
I'm the firstborn. Yeah, I'm the
Why?
firstborn. My mom
And
and my dad.
that means we share a lot in common. I'm a
Yeah.
firstborn
Oh
as
yeah.
well. A
Yeah. I got a bunch
Nigerian,
of little
Nigerian
siblings that are
brothers.
looking up to you, you know, and
Yeah,
you know,
it's
the
quite a
way.
tough spot to be in, quite a tough position,
Yeah.
being that person that they look up to. You have to always, show that good example, even when
Exactly.
it's not comfortable for you, right?
Exactly.
Uh,
Exactly. And you know you always got like eyes on you, whether you notice or not, or whether they tell you or not. You know they're watching you. You know, so yeah. So that was kind of my upbringing.
So I can see your mom was a very strong, influence in your early life,
Yeah.
building in terms of building your character, right? But then,
Yeah.
who would you say were the other early life influences? Who did you look up to? Who were those role models or mentors, while growing up, that
Um.
helped shape who you are today?
My dad was definitely like he would definitely give me like good advice, and you know always tell me to believe in God and do the right thing and stuff like that. As far as like people who I thought were like cool when I was like little, I thought my grandpa was pretty cool. He used to break horses, and he was a cowboy. He used to listen to country music, and we would spend a lot of time with him too. So he was something that or somebody, and he just had like a personality that was just like bigger than life. You know, he was so loud everywhere he went. You know, he was somebody that I really thought was really cool when I was younger. Or
Is that your grandpa from your dad's side or your mom's side?
that's my grandpa from my dad's side, or
Oh
from
wow.
my bad, from my mom's side. Yeah,
Okay,
that's from
okay.
my side. He was also a Rolling Stone, so I heard some stories about him all over the city with different women and all. He was a cowboy in the truest sense of the word.
Okay, so how did you get into wrestling? I know you got into wrestling from a pretty young age, but how did that happen? Did
Yeah.
you do any other sports?
So I did I was doing football, I did pole vault. I was just kind of trying sports. I did karate or taekwondo for a little bit. Um and then I was a junior in high school where when I found wrestling, or it was actually the summer of my sophomore year. But yeah, I found wrestling just cuz I was doing a I had science class, and my science teacher was also the wrestling coach, and he was giving out free quiz points for any dude that wanted to sign up for wrestling. So he gave me a free quiz points. I came out and I tried it, and then I liked it. You know, I was like naturally good at it, and yeah, I kind of tried it. Went to a couple tournaments, and then that next year I did it like full time.
Oh wow. So can you talk us through the highs and lows of your wrestling career? I know you were an NCAA champion, Division two
Hmm.
champion at some
Yeah.
point, but then the wins, the losses, how did you you definitely need a lot of dedication, a lot of consistency, a lot of passion to be able to scale through. Wrestling requires a lot of discipline. Like how did you scale through that wrestling part of
Yeah.
your life?
So when I started wrestling, it was I started as a junior in high school, so I was probably about 17, which is kind of late to like compared to like everybody else who had went to college and was like wrestling at a high level. So the beginning of my wrestling, I was just well, actually, the beginning even of my college years, I was kind of like learning the sport. I was still learning the sport, so I was learning the sport as I was going, but I was like athletically gifted, and I was fast and strong. So I was just like naturally good and had a good sense of body awareness, which like helped me. But I was like so green when it came to like the techniques and the moves and things like that. So I had to do like kind of a lot more uh like learning, a lot more learning. So I was like learning a lot throughout my career, and I found that actually like helped me, you know, to like perform better because I wasn't focusing on things um like I I wasn't focusing on like cutting the weight or like being in crazy shape, or I was like focused on learning how to be good at wrestling, how to do the techniques. And I also I didn't like have a bunch of bad techniques that I was like carrying over to college. Because I was so green, I was like learning all the techniques from the for the first time. So it was like it was difficult just because I was kind of behind the curve on learning, but it was like fun, and it was exciting to like learn all the new techniques, which made it like easier for me to like have fun wrestling, you know. So I had like fun wrestling throughout my wrestling career because I was always it was always new. It was always something I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Man, that's different. You know, and so I was like, I guess my junior year when I first started, I made it to state, right? I made it, which is like the big tournament at the end of the year. I made it to state, qualified for state, but then I
Was that
failed.
when you came fourth?
You say
Was that when you placed fourth place?
no, no, no. So that was in college. So
Okay.
in high school I made it to state, but then I failed a progress report or a report card or something, so I
Oh
wasn't
wow.
to go to state and in high school. And then that next year, I was able to go to state, and then I placed in state. But that was like one of the lows of my life. Or when you talk about like highs and lows of wrestling, because I was
Yeah, talk us through how you felt. How did you feel at that point in time? Did you feel like giving up? Did you feel like,
okay,
is
so
this the end?
so the premise that my mom had passed away. My mom had passed away that
Or
I had started wrestling. So I was really getting it, or what really got me into wrestling was like I got to hurt people, and I got to like release that anger that I was like feeling over my mom passing. And so I was like solely focused on wrestling. I had given up on not given up on school, but I was like school was in the back burner. I was just there, you know. I wasn't yeah, I didn't really see the point of it. I was like I mean, we're all gonna die anyways. Like, what's the point of doing any of this? You know, like I'm gonna just go to this wrestling class, and I'm gonna exert all my energy, spend all my energy, and try to hurt these people in competition. And yeah, in order to wrestle. So then yeah, I figured that out. And so then I placed that my senior in high school, and then my freshman year in college I redshirted so I could like continue to learn and you know, kind of catch up learning wise with the other kids. And then my sophomore year I placed fourth at a junior college national tournament at the end of the year, and that was like pretty big for me because that was my first time All American, and that was like the top what I was top four in that weight class in that and in junior college. So that was like huge for me, All American. And then that next year I had tore my meniscus. so I wasn't able to wrestle to my potential just because I was dealing with like that injury. I couldn't bend my leg, majority of the season, and I just wasn't, wrestling at top form.
It's
Um,
really crazy having to deal with injuries. Like, as an athlete, do you get depressed when you are injured and you can't move your body the way you typically would?
yeah, you'd be surprised like how I feel like healing or recovering or resting is like the hardest thing for athletes to do, because it's like you feel like you're doing nothing. It's also like you have so much like energy pent up that you're used to like using, that when like even my wife says like if I sit at home for too long, then I get like antsy, and then I get like like I'll start messing with them or start creating, drama problems and stuff, so I like it's therapeutic, and it feels good to like, yeah, get your body moving. So when you can't, it's frustrating. It's super frustrating. You don't feel like you're progressing. You feel like you wasting space, and yeah, it's hard. So injuries they're hard. They're a lot harder mentally than people would think. Like, oh, all you got to do is rest now. Like that's way harder to do for some reason.
Yeah,
Uh,
but some people
to
try to
like heal your
channel that
body or
energy.
slow down. Yeah, it's hard, man.
Like,
It's hard.
yeah,
Like
how
when
about channeling that
you used
energy in a
to.
positive way?
I mean, we got to find a positive way to channel it.
Yes.
It's which I don't know. Like physically moving is something like if you can't physically move, like okay, I can say I can channel my energy into like playing video games, or channel my energy into building something, or but it's like if I don't sweat doing it, or if I don't like move enough to like uh yeah, like sweat or get tired, it doesn't I feel like I don't release that energy like I want to.
Yeah, but then have you ever worked with a sports psychologist or therapist at such period of time? Yeah,
Yeah.
I was asking you if you've ever worked with a sports psychologist or a therapist, at any time, at any point in time when you're injured.
No, I've never worked with a, sports therapist. No.
Okay,
I've,
I think that's a recommendation from me to you. That could actually
yeah.
help. To channel energy positively, because I do remember myself. There was a time in 2021 as well when I just started talking to you. I I was involved in a life-threatening accident. My Mercedes
Yeah.
Benz. It's somersaulted. I think somersaulted about 4 times, and
Oh
then
wow.
like I nearly lost my life. And I was coping with like some spinal cord injury, back injury basically, and I couldn't go to
Wow.
work for a couple of months, right? But then
Yeah.
I had to speak with a therapist at that point in time, and they kind of helped me to channel my energy in a positive way. So
Like what
it,
you
it just
challenge it to? What does that mean?
I was reading self-development books,
Uh-huh.
because for me, I'm not an athlete, I'm a finance professional, right? So
Yeah.
I'm used to that routine of waking up, going to work, being on your computer, um, you know, crunching numbers. But then that routine was gone, and it felt like my life was practically like useless, right?
Yeah.
But then they kind of helped me to channel that brain energy towards something different. So I was reading a lot of self-development books, trying to learn new things, develop
Uh,
new interests. So at that point in time, I signed up on UFC Fight Pass. So
yeah.
I was watching a lot of the old fights as well. So it sort of helped me to develop my knowledge, in MMA, because I remember when I started following MMA in 2019, and then a lot of the guys from the US are always like, "Oh, you casual, you casual."
Yeah. Yeah.
but,
They love
but
saying that.
yeah, but then during that period of my life, I watched a lot of fights. I was able to analyze these things, right? And by the time I was out of that phase of my life, nobody could dare call me a casual.
Right? Like, man,
Yes.
I know it.
Yes. So basically, sometimes if you speak with a therapist, they have these ways of helping you channel that energy towards, something different.
Yeah,
If you develop a new passion or learn something new, you just discover that it helps with your mental health,
yeah,
basically, because physical strength is good, but then mental strength actually takes one further
yeah,
in
for
life.
sure. And
So
I feel like that's where, like, the injuries, talking about the injuries, that's where it's like hard. Mentally it's hard. It's hard to yeah, cope with not being able to like do anything.
it's it's a very bad feeling. You get into really dark spaces.
Yeah.
So, but then many people might not experience that in their lifetimes.
Hmm.
That's very the lowest of lows. You get
Yeah.
to those very dark spaces. But then if you go for something in your life, if you push for something in your life, it has a way of saving you and helping you even impact the lives of other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes you just develop new passions and you can actually, be an expert at something else
Yeah.
in life.
Cool.
Okay, so interesting. So speaking of the lows, speaking of the lows in your wrestling careers, what were the highs in the wrestling career? What would you say were the
So I
highs?
would say, like, me winning nationals for the first time. The first time I was a national champion, just because it was kind of the first time I felt like, you know, I can do anything that I put my mind to, you know.
Okay.
That was the first time that or I had seen it in real time, like I put my mind to doing this and I did it. I'm capable of great things.
The
Yeah,
human mind is very powerful.
it is. Yeah. And then once I did it once, I feel like I opened the door to being like, whatever I put my mind to, I can do. Like, I can wake up every day and choose to do it. So yeah, that was definitely the high of my wrestling career.
Okay. Would you like to talk us through the transition into MMA from wrestling into MMA? A lot of wrestling guys, I think people like DC, right, say that wrestling is, the best base to
Yeah.
transition into MMA. So,
Yeah.
did you share that sentiment?
Yeah, I agree. The reason I agree is because so many aspects of the wrestling just equate well with MMA, the one-on-one competition, all of the competition that you have, the body control that it takes to learn wrestling, the being able to control somebody else's body and be able to, like, temper or gauges or feel, how a person is going to react or make a person react. It's just so many intangible things that wrestling provides that I don't feel like all the other sports provide. And then also mental toughness. Wrestling is probably one of the you got to be the most mentally tough to go through the practices that we have. So yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment. Speaking about my transition to MMA, so I had won nationals for the second time, and then after I had won nationals, I was thinking about doing, like, going to the Olympics and wrestling for the world team. But I I had a couple of credits to get at the college I was at, so I decided to coach part time and then finish the credits that I have for the college. So I assistant coached while I finished my degree, and I was asked. I actually called Kamaru Usman, and because he was at the Olympic Training Center at the time, and I just wanted to know kind of what like what I needed to do. Like, was it a good idea to do it? Like, how much it cost to be there? I just wanted to know all those things. And when I was talking to Marty, or not, when I was talking to Kamaru,
No.
no, I mean, it's
Covington is gonna be happy with that. Marty
it's
Fake
funny. It's
Newsman.
funny too because I
It's a
don't think
really funny nickname.
I don't feel like he tripped about that name because that's what people was calling him. It wasn't like he named himself. People was like calling him that, and yeah, his name Ben Camaro. But yeah. So when I was talking to Camaro, I think it's funny too because it's like when somebody grows up and they like, hey, no, you call me by my name, don't call me by my nickname. You know what I
Baba
mean?
nickname.
You just forget. But
But then it's crazy when your nickname gets twisted, by
yeah, it
somebody
get twisted
that
like
is
it's
quite.
like you created it. Yeah, like no, I don't think that. But yeah, it's funny. But anyways, when I was talking to Kamaru, he was just like telling me, uh just telling me everything that need to be done, the politics involved, how to succeed and stuff. And I was like, man, it just sounds like super hard when he was like explaining it to me. But at the same point, Kamara he was looking out for me. He wanted me to know, what I was getting myself into, before I got into it. He just wanted me to know, and that's what I asked him for. But at the end of the call, I was like, man, that was like, man, how the hell am I ever gonna make it in wrestling? you know? And so, but I was like still thinking about it. And while I was also doing that, Jens Pover, he was like the first MMA or the first light heavyweight champion. He 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 was starting a gym in the at the town that my school was at. So he was starting a gym, and they had asked me to help and come help do the wrestling program, just help the fighters learn how to wrestle. At this point, I didn't even know what MMA was. I hadn't, even I wasn't even watching MMA. This was in like 2013. Yeah, so I didn't know what it was, but he asked me to come and to yeah, help them learn wrestling. So I was like, okay, yeah. And so eventually, I started doing helping them wrestle, and then I started doing some of the Brazilian jiu-jitsu classes that they offered, just to like kind of learn what I needed to help them with. And then I also did some of the boxing classes. And then Gents was like, hey man, you came to all these classes, you might as well fight. And I was like, oh well, I guess I will fight. I'll try it out. I'll have a fight. And I had my first fight. Just Pover was in my corner, and I choked this like 6'1" dude out unconscious, and I was like, I'm the baddest dude in the world, and this is what I want to do. Yeah.
I tell people, there's a point in life where you hit a realization that you are good at something and you should go for it. Would you say
Hmm.
that was a point you realized that you're good at this
Yeah.
thing and you would
Yeah.
you would go for it?
Yeah.
Okay, so who would you say were are strong influences in your life at that point in time when you were transitioning into MMA? Like, who were those people that encouraged you? You called Kamaru's man,
Yeah.
about the Olympic wrestling thing. So did Kamaru also, provide that moral support to you? And who were the other guys who were in your corner?
Yeah, Kamaru always felt like he was my big brother. Feels like, he's somebody that always is like even when I was going to, because he was my Team Texas coach for high school. So I've known him since I was in high school. And yeah, he's always just been like, even when I was coming to college, like we had a conversation where he was like, "Hey man, hey, it's different. It's like you moving up from D2 or moving up from JUCO to for D2. The season's longer. You need to be prepared for that, or you're gonna be wrestling a lot of tough competition, like stuff like that." And it's like, bro, I know. you got that older dude. You're like,
Big
bro,
brother,
I got
big
this,
brother
bro. I
vibes.
got this. So no, but it's always been out of love. I understand that. But yeah. So Usman was definitely an influence on me. And then Jens Pover, obviously Jens Pover had taken an interest in me early. You know, he was like hands on with me early. He was even like still commentating and doing stuff in his career, but he was like helping me, you know, develop. I was like looking up to them, looking to them for advice. Yeah, man. That's yeah. That was pretty much my circle of people that was like helped me as far as like MMA, you know. And those guys, you know, they helped me out a lot, you know. But yeah.
Would you say, for Kamaru's man, right? Would you say
Hmm.
the fact that you are also of Nigerian descent was an influence in him taking to you and giving you that love?
Yeah, it was actually I think his he had told me that his mom had found out that I was a Nigerian and it was another Nigerian coming to the team. And even before, you know, when I was on Team Texas, she cuz when I had seen him or whatever, when I had came up on my recruiting trip, he was like, "Hey man, you good or whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." He was like, "My mom, I mean, you got food, like you got everything you need and stuff like that." He was like, "My mama wanted to make sure you good, man. You good?" And I'm like,
Wow.
"Yeah, I'm good." You know. So yeah, he definitely took a interest in me. I think his mom, you know, took a interest and you know want to make sure you know fellow Nigerian was like doing well and you know okay. So yeah, that was definitely part of it.
It is always good to have that love, shown to you by your fellow Nigerians.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
so speaking of MMA, right? What was your amateur career like,
Mhm.
and progressing into a professional MMA, right? Why did you choose Bellator over the other promotions? Because you are. I think I'm biased, right? But then I would still say it in my head and in my personal opinion, right? And my personal opinion is actually an expert opinion,
Yeah,
right? I
exactly.
think you are one of the top five bantamweights in the world, and
Yeah,
that is facts, right? So I
yeah,
think you can make it into any promotion you wish to
for
fight
sure.
in, but then why Bellator over the others?
Yeah. So my amateur career was I went like 6-1, but I was like I was probably fighting like every other month or every month, and I was just trying to like find the toughest competition I could find before going pro. Because I had originally thought that I was just gonna go out and go pro off the gate. Then I had a fight and then realized, you know, it's stuff I want to work on or stuff I want to, you know, show before I go pro, you know. So I had 7 fights like back to back to back. Um, and then I turned pro. And the reason I chose Bellator is because you know, they chose me. You know, they shown an interest. They showed interest, and yeah they showed interest in me. You know, as opposed to or like so I had offers from like the UFC, but the offers from the UFC was it wasn't like it was like I was an option out of you know a sea of options. And the way it was looking like I'll just explain it. So I was the UFC had told me that I was on the short list. Then they uh so like a fight would fall out, you know, like how somebody has a fight and then one of the fights
Short
fall.
notice
Yeah,
replacements.
exactly. A short notice. They would give me short notice opportunities, right? But so the short notice opportunities, the guy that had the fight, they would give him like like three to four names. And I would be like one of the names, you know? And it's like I'm never gonna be if I'm like top five in the world, I'm never gonna be the first guy, you know, that you're gonna choose to fight. Like that's just not realistic. Nobody's gonna pick me to fight when it's like their UFC, you know, it's a UFC fight, they're making a ton of money, you know, they're not gonna pick me. Like I'm not that fight that people wanna, you know, take because there's like no easy way to beat me. Like you can't just say, oh, I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna just beat them this way, you know. So yeah, so that the short notice opportunity have happened to me probably like 4 or 5 times. And so I was like, man, like this is getting old, like this is getting annoying. I have kids, I have family. I need to start like making money. This is just, yeah, it's just not, it's not working for me. And I didn't even think about Bellator until I had went to a show. I went to a show because I was cornering Emmanuel Sanchez in the tournament, in a Grand Prix tournament actually. And then I went and I seen how, how well, because I had been to UFCs, I had cornered there too. And I seen how well of an organization they were, and how well they treated the fighters, and how good the production was, and where the company was heading. And I was like, man, Bellator is pretty cool or whatever. And I was talking to like John McCarthy, and I was like, or no, he was like, hey man, I seen you do your grappling match. Like when you gonna come to Bellator or whatever. And I was like, I mean, whenever y'all call me, but I thought it was just like small talk, just bull crap, I was just playing around or whatever. And he was like, yeah. I was like, whenever y'all have your people, call my people or whatever. And so that Monday we got back, I asked my manager, and I was like, "Hey, man, is Bellator an option for me? Like, do you think I have a chance to go to Bellator?" And he was like, "Hey, let me ask. I'll call him or whatever." And then so he called me. He called him, and I went to practice. And probably like 2 hours later, Bellator replied with like an offer that was like bigger than I would have got for the UFC. So that tells me like they, like, I wasn't just and it was also, they were going to give me a camp, I didn't have to like hop in on short notice opportunity. Like, they believed in my success, or they believed in my potential at least. So yeah, that's why I chose them. I chose them because they chose me. They've been nothing but great to me. They've been a great platform, and I wouldn't have it any other way now. I feel like I'm much better off uh financially, just in life, because of Bellator.
Okay, there's something we often say in the professional world: go to where you're appreciated, not where you're tolerated, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
But then,
Exactly.
for me, I think um, when I look into the world of MMA, I think the UFC actually was the one that introduced me into MMA, right?
Yeah.
And then I definitely love to see, people that I love in the UFC.
Yeah.
Do you think there's that possibility of, you following the pathway of persons like Michael Chandler, maybe sometime in the future, fighting in the UFC? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I don't think it's like outlandish to think that I could end up in the UFC at this point, but I always say so, and that's the other way I look at the UFC. Like, yes, it's a great company. It's the top MMA company out there, but like, as far as for me, like, I don't feel like, or at that time, now times are different. Like, I have a different name, I have a different value. People kind of have been able to see my
You have a
potential.
big brand.
Yeah, I have a bigger brand now, whereas before they didn't know, like, yeah, I had potential, but they didn't know, how good I could be. Now it's kind of out there that I'm good, you know what I mean? So it's easier for them to invest in me now, you know what I mean? So I don't feel like it's like outlandish. The other thing is, like, I'm gonna go to whoever gonna like take care of me, you know what I mean? Like, if
Definitely.
because I can't, like, yeah, the UFC is great. It has more eyes, it has all these things, but if I can't tangibly take all those things and feed my family with, it don't, for me, it don't necessarily matter. It don't necessarily matter that, like, in the public eye I'm the best. That really don't technically matter to me. Like, what matters to me are the people around me, what I can do for the people around me, and how I feel inside. So yeah, I'm down to fight anywhere, everybody, wherever. But yeah, we'll see with this
You are
Bellator.
truly You are
Huh?
truly a family man. You are truly a family
Yeah,
man.
you hear him in the background.
Yeah, putting your family first. But don't
Yeah,
worry.
for sure. That's
I
for me as a fighter. Like that's what matters to me. You know what I mean?
hmm I am going to give
Like
Dana White a call.
I'm not out here chasing girls. I'm not out here chasing likes. I'm not out here chasing.
Ah,
You know, I don't care about that. That stuff don't really matter. It doesn't. It just don't matter to me. I don't think it matters. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
interested. I will give Dana White a call, and I hope they come up with an offer that you would like.
Yeah, for sure.
expect
Yeah,
it expect
yeah.
it soon.
Yeah, I'm down to entertain it.
Okay, that's fantastic. But I was going to talk about the highs and lows of your Bellator or career, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I know there are two losses. That is to Merab Dvalishvili, and
Hmm.
that guy is in the UFC right now, and Pachi Mix. Like
Yeah.
quickly, like how did you feel? Like how did those losses influence you? Like what did those losses do to you? Because it's interesting when you keep winning, right? But then
Hmm.
when you lose as a person, it makes you realize that you're still a human being. You're
Yeah.
vulnerable, right? It's like
Yeah.
a reminder that you are human after all,
Yeah.
right? Even though you're super studs, right?
Yeah.
But then
Definitely.
super studs is
Yeah.
still a human being.
Yes, sir.
so,
Yeah.
how did he feel?
Yeah. So both of those I feel like are kind of similar just because I don't feel like I was able to like really fight or let the fight develop. I didn't have time. They kind of like caught me early, caught me slipping early. And yeah, so it's hard for me to take a lot of things to get better on, because ultimately the losses, like that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to learn, how I can be a better martial artist for the next time, how I can be harder to kill for the next time. But it's hard to do that when the fights don't last that long and you don't get to see a lot. And it's also two instances where these guys aren't like I wasn't prepared. And this is well, that's something I can get better on. I need to be, cognizant of the fact that like no matter their skill set, everybody is dangerous. Everybody's dangerous if I'm not prepared. And so I didn't think neither one of these guys could strike or bust a grape. But they were able to catch me clean with some shots I didn't see, and it was able to put me out. So yeah, I'm human, and it tells me that I just need to take every part of everybody's games serious and
Extremely seriously.
yeah, extremely
Extremely.
seriously. Yeah. And yeah, it's just a reminder of that. It's things that I know, but yeah, I gotta take them very seriously. Um, and then as far as like getting like my two, it's pretty much I get knocked out or I win. So I gotta stay away from those early exchanges that I'm not ready for. And then yeah, just get better at what I can get better at, focus on what I can get better at, which is usually, which I found the two times that I've I've kind of got knocked out. I've had bad weight cuts, I had bad weight cuts and bad, which was like bad training, you know what I mean? And most of it was due to nutrition, but that's something that I look at it like, okay, that's something I can get better at. I can change. I can change for the better, and I kind of look at it like that. So like the lows of my career, have been to two of the best, like in the world, so I can't hang my hat about that. It's also kind of like fluke wins. Like they're not wins that these guys can duplicate on me. So like I take kind of, it's like bittersweet, like if the fight went longer, I feel like I beat those guys. And that's not something that these guys are used to creating. These are not finishes they're used to creating. So it's like flukes in that sense. But yeah, it's also a part of the game. You know what I mean? I kind of try to take it in stride. I try to take it for what it is. Anthony Pettis once told me, never believe how great people say you are, and never believe how bad people say you are. You know what I mean? Because I had just won the belt like a fight before, and I'm the best ever, and then I lose a fight, 90 80 seconds of a bad decision, and now some people say I'm the worst. So I just don't let that stuff kind of phase me, and
It's
I
crazy in
just
MMA
focus
how it's crazy in
how
MMA how they
short
say you're
people
good.
memories
Yeah,
are.
you're good at your last fight,
Yep,
right?
exactly, exactly. So
It's really crazy. Speaking of Anthony Pettis, you were actually meant to fight his younger brother Sergio Pettis, right?
yeah. Hmm.
So how's that gonna go? Like, mm,
I that was the toughest for me. That was like the toughest fight to prepare for, because again, I like Sergio, and I was his teammate for like 7 years. Like he was like one of my main
wow.
training partners for like 7 years. So, and I know him. I know his girl. I know his dogs. I know his. You know what I mean? I respect him. A great deal. So that was like the hardest. Mentally, that was the hardest thing for me to prepare for. And I'm glad it didn't happen. Hopefully it don't
I'm
happen still.
I'm glad myself. I'm glad myself.
Yeah.
Uh, yes. Speaking of losses and wins, right? I think
Yeah.
there's this book that is titled "Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn," right?
Hmm.
So would you say you've learned from those losses? Like, what would you say you learned from those losses?
Yeah. I definitely feel like, because it's obvious. I mean, if you lose, there's something that you could have done better. There's something. Sometimes it's harder to find than other times, but yeah, I've definitely learned from each one of my losses, and it's the reason I'm as good as I am right now.
Okay. So speaking of Bellator, right?
Yeah.
Recently, they got acquired by the PFL.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Right. So what are the great things you think we should expect, from this recent merger slash acquisition? Like, what do you
Yeah,
think is
I
going to
don't
happen?
I don't know for sure, but just me speculating, I think, it's gonna be fun, because the owner said something about like maybe you can do the tournament, maybe some people can do one-offs. I also like the fact that there's, uh, potential different matchups, different people added into the mix, we're on ESPN, or they're on ESPN. We can cross promote with them. I like the champions versus champion. It's a lot of fun things that could happen, with this PFL. What do you call it? Not a merger, but them assuming Bellator. So yes, a bunch of fun things. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what, because I have no idea what's going to happen still. So I'm excited to see.
So, speaking of crossovers, right? Recently we saw Francis Ngannou in that crossover boxing battle with Tyson Fury. So,
Yeah.
what do you think about that? What do you think about Francis Ngannou? He's a fellow African brother. Like,
Yeah, I love, man. Francis Ngannou is the man, bro. Francis Ngannou is the baddest man on the planet. Nobody can tell me any different. He went in there, never boxed, or he boxed once. He had he
that was his first boxing
That
fight,
was his first
professional.
boxing fight.
Yeah, yeah, first
Okay,
pro
well, yeah,
boxing fight.
never boxed ever before in a professional boxing. Fought arguably the greatest heavyweight boxer. So uh, Tyson Fury is the man. He's the baddest man on the planet, and yeah, I'm excited to see what happens for him next. I think that was a great showing of, people think, just because we do a lot of disciplines, we're not elite at any of them. And when I say, I'm talking about MMA guys, but yeah, we can compete with everybody and anything. So it made me proud as an African, made me proud as a not G, or an MMA fighter. Yeah, and that was super cool.
Looking at the MMA community, right? The MMA community definitely,
We needed
were
that
very
one. We needed
happy.
that one
Yeah,
because
we needed that one, right?
these boxers
But
been
then
trying to tear us
the
up lately, man.
controversy,
These
the
boxers.
controversy, the controversy, right? Who do you think won that fight? Who do
I
you think
think
won that
Fury
fight?
won the fight, man. He was the closest to ending the fight, I
Fury?
think, no, not Fury. My bad. Ngannou. Ngannou, God dog. Why I say Fury? Francis. That's what I meant. Francis. I think Francis won the fight. He was the closest to finishing the fight. He got a knockdown. He obviously, yeah, I think Fury won or Francis won the fight. My bad. Francis.
Yeah.
Francis Ngannou.
It was really crazy, because it was a big night for Africa that night, because I remember I was at Box Park in East Croydon in London, and I think just about 30 minutes before the fight, South Africa had just won the Rugby World Cup, and we're looking,
Hey,
yeah,
we
we're
up.
looking forward to the Tyson Fury and Ghana fight, and a lot
We
of
up.
people had counted him out. A
Yeah.
lot of people had counted him out, and apparently I live in England. A lot of people support Tyson Fury here,
Oh yeah, yeah. For sure.
and
That makes sense.
the crowd, were yelling, expecting a Tyson Fury to make a mockery of Francis Ngannou, and with that knockdown, I think the knockdown was in round three, right? And with that
Uh
knockdown
huh.
coming in,
Yeah.
it felt like I was in a dream. It felt surreal, it felt surreal because
Uh,
I think that day I was wearing a UFC sweatpants
mhm.
and a South African jersey. So my UFC jersey was underneath, and my
Yeah.
South Africa jersey was on top. So after the South Africa match, the rugby match, I think I removed that and had the UFC theme.
Had to switch
you
it
know,
up.
just just supported Ngannou. At
Yeah.
first, at the beginning of the fight, I was looking quite stupid. Like, oh, you you're so bold to support Ngannou, right? And
Yeah.
then it was making sense in the third round. But
Yeah.
really, I think they had to save the face of boxing, right?
Yeah.
Uh, for me, I think Ngannou won the hearts, but
Mm.
Tyson won the fight.
You think
You
so?
know, Tyson won the decision, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Ngannou won the fight.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Technically, but I don't feel like he won.
Yes. It was a big up for the MMA community, right?
Yeah.
So next question on my lips, are what would you say are the accomplishments that you're most proud of in your entire sporting career and in your personal life? What accomplishments would you say you're proud of the most?
I would say. I mean, my kids are pretty amazing. I love my kids, and I'm like I guess like surprised by them every day. Like how much, yeah, how much personality and stuff they got. So that would probably be my biggest accomplishment. Outside of that, I would say probably when I won the Bellator belt in Hawaii. That was pretty cool as far as my athletic career. Um, that's probably the biggest moment of my athletic career.
Wow, interesting. So how do you balance sports, business, and family? How do you juggle those three balls?
I have I got priorities, so my family, always comes first, family and then family emergencies, so I give up a lot for this sport, I guess, as far as like recreation, or fun, with my family and stuff, but yeah. So if it falls under family emergency, that's always gonna come first, and then my career is like pretty in camp. In camp, my career comes first a lot of times when it comes to like fun things, and then my family. But it's easy. It's easy to prioritize. Or juggle it when you like prioritize it like that, like what's important in the long run.
Okay, so in mixed martial arts, right? Like the name implies, it's mixed martial arts. You have to be good at a combination of martial arts, right? So for me personally, I feel the top three martial arts that are applicable for you to be successful in mixed martial arts are wrestling, uh, kickboxing, and jiu-jitsu. So
Mhm.
for you, what would you say are the top three?
Yeah, I would say wrestling. I would say Muay Thai over kickboxing, and I would say jiu-jitsu. Yeah, yeah. I would say
So,
those.
how about if you were to do a top five? Who are the two other honorable mentions?
Top five, I would do boxing and hmm,
That's a tough number five.
tough number five because I feel like
Just
I
one
need
more
something
slot.
like I don't know if like cage wrestling is like a sport. You know, that's not a sport. You know, yeah, I would. Let's do like sambo or something.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
combat sambo.
sambo.
What do you think about those Russians?
Yeah, because
They have
part of
become
it is
a
their mentality.
real.
Part of it is the mentality of the sambo athletes or the Russian athletes. Yeah, I like the mentality that they have going into fights or going into life. You know, where they just like so cold. You know that nothing really is like significant, whether they're hurt or they're tired or they're feeling great. They got the same face. Yeah.
But but then you've got a big win over one of their own. That's Magomed. How
Yeah,
did you feel? How did you
yeah.
feel? Being the killer of the killers.
Yeah, you know, that was pretty cool because I feel like I was the I mean I'm sure other people have too, but you know, I beat one of the Dagestani, you know, one of the Dagestani boys, you know, so that was like that was a huge accomplishment too, like in MMA, just because it opened everybody's eyes to how good I am, you know. Because he's an amazing athlete, he's an amazing fighter, and he comes from an amazing camp, you know, or an amazing, I guess, place in Dagestan. So it was cool for like a lot of people because I believed in myself and I know how good I am, but the general public, you know, sometimes it's hard for them to see, you know, who's really good. So that was like cool for people to recognize, you know, how good I am.
Okay. As a fighter, right? I want you to give me like an expose into the mind of the fighter, right? Have you ever had any fights where you might be talking smack, but you feel some sort of fear factor for the opponent because of the kind of skill sets, because of the kind of strengths they have, does that ever happen?
Yeah, I feel like when it don't happen, that's when I get caught, you know. So I so when I look at a fighter, you know, and when I sign a contract to fighter, I'm looking at everything that he does good, you know, and I'm making sure that I'm aware of everything that he likes to do and the things that he likes to do good. And then I look at what he does, what I feel like he doesn't do good, and then I look at where those skills compare to mine, you know, and then I figure out where I want to direct the fight according to that, you know. So how I'm gonna make him fight my fight. Um, so yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. So yeah, I'm a lot of people are like good in a lot of places that that I have to be kind of scared of or aware of. Um, but yeah,
So who are the top three opponents that you've had so far in terms of the
I would
fear
say
factor?
the top three. I would
Ones that
give.
have pushed the best out of you.
I mean, I would say like Patchy and Mariah, but I feel like I wasn't able to fight. I didn't get to fight those fights. Um, so I would love to fight those fights again. Hopefully, I
To
get a
get
chance.
this one back.
Yeah, I'll get that one back.
Mhm.
And then there was a fighter on the original scene. I fought Levi Miles. And it was a tough fight because like in the fight I had like it wasn't a fight where I was just kind of dominant. It was a fight where I had success and then he had great success. So I took him down one round, and then he like put me in a heel hook to where I didn't know I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get out of it or what to do. So it kind of like put my head in a point where I was like, oh man, I can't take this dude down because I don't know where to go if he gets me in that leg lock again. And then he dropped me. So I was like, okay, I'll just keep it on my feet, keep on my feet with this guy. And then he didn't drop me. He like flash knocked me. And I had to like battle through that. Like flash knocked me twice or whatever. So I
Wow.
had to like battle through that, come back, rally back. And I feel like that taught me a lot about myself. Um, and I had to like navigate that throughout the fight, or through a fight. So that was like that was a tough fight and a good fight for me, developmentally.
Oh wow. Speaking of flash knocks, I I think of Jiri Prohaska, right?
Hmm.
He said Dominic Reyes practically knocked him out mid fight, right? But then he came back to to dominate that fight and achieved a knockout. So what was going through your head at that point in time? You said it made you learn something about yourself,
Hmm.
that mental resilience, that mental toughness, seeing
Yeah.
that you can come back from really dark corners, right? Which a lot of people will never experience in their lifetime,
Yeah.
right? So, which other fight would you say took you into really dark places that you came back from and you're really proud of yourself?
Yeah, that was one, and I figured out that you know, people kind of have like two responses when like stuff goes wrong. They
That's,
either try to like run from it, or they just kind of like nut up and say bring
I
it.
think I think there are three responses rather. That's flight, freeze, or fight.
Yeah, yeah, fight, freeze, or
Yes,
fight, exactly. And
yeah. So those are three.
yeah, so that's what I meant by it showed me, kind of who I am. So I chose to fight in those instances. I didn't like run away. I just like in those instances I chose to fight. So I I pretty much I stood and I banged with him some more, and I won exchanges, and then I took him down. So I'm not one to shy from adversity or shy from the fight once things go bad for me. So that taught me, about kind of who I am, when shit get real.
Interesting. Speaking of yourself, what would you say are your hobbies and your interests? Like, what personal passions do you have?
My hobbies, I like to build things. I like to play video games. Um, and what else I like to do? I don't know, just hang out with family, man. I'm
Uh,
pretty low key.
Interesting. So, what skills or competences or abilities do you have that you're proud of, but people do not know about?
Most people don't know that I used to break horses when I was little. Um, what else? What else? I am very interested in actually finances. Um, I do a lot of studying of um, financial literacy, and yeah, just kind of estate planning and things like that. Like that stuff interests me. So I,
Interesting. Maybe that's why we get along.
yeah,
I'm a finance professional,
yeah.
chartered
See, I know. I heard
accountant.
that. I was like, man, I need to ask this dude some questions. Yeah, because
Okay,
I like
never mind.
found
I
that.
won't charge you. I won't charge you. You're my Niger brother.
Man, appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah, I found that stuff interesting. Yeah, here of late. Actually, like during COVID, I started like reading some books. What was it? Was it Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Robert Kiyosaki.
or no, it wasn't that one.
Which
It
one? Which one
was
is it?
Michaela. What was that book I read for Dave Ramsey? That's what I read.
Okay.
I
Oh
read
wow.
Dave Ramsey, and then so that got me like started on the path. I don't agree with everything he says, but
He says.
but yeah, that started me on a path to financial literacy. So
Oh
yeah.
wow, interesting. So it's interesting to see that you study, you read books, right? Have you read this book by Napoleon Hill that is Think and Grow Rich?
No, I haven't.
I think you should read that one.
Think and
My father
grow rich.
gave me very yeah, my father gave
Yeah.
me that book very early in life, and I think it sort of shaped my life for good. Think and Grow
Uh,
Rich. Then there's this other one, The Jewish Phenomenon.
no, I haven't read that one either. I
That's
don't
a
read a lot
really,
of
really
books.
yeah, it's a really
I
fantastic
read,
one.
but
Yeah. But what books, what would you say are the top books that have, shaped you or influenced you in life?
yeah, that the Dave Ramsey one was one that got me started, and then I've done the Dad Poor Dad. I did a what was it was a thousand. I forget the name of the book, but it was about great, like how it was about how all the people at the elite level of anything have practiced. They just have spent more time
Oh,
doing
the 10,000 hour rule.
10,000 hour rule. Yeah, 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 yeah,
That
yeah,
that's a great one. That's a
yeah.
great one. That's a great
But
one.
yeah,
Okay,
I would say those are
interesting.
the top.
Oh wow. So what advice do you have for upcoming athletes and young people in general? What advice? What
I mean,
what life
speaking of
advice would you give them as a big brother
yeah,
that
as a
you
big
are?
brother, I would say, as an athlete, your time is short, so go after your goals, attack them full force, and I feel like consistency is key. So um, yeah, be consistent, chase your goal every day. Do something to chase your goal every day. Doesn't mean you have to physically beat yourself down every day, but make steps in the right direction. That could be recovery, that could be mentally studying. Yeah, take steps in the right direction every day, and to accomplish your goals, be consistent.
Oh wow, that sounds really nice, and it sounds like advice that I gave to one of my friends. His name is David. Lately, I tell him baby steps.
Yeah,
Always achieve something every day. Chip the block.
exactly.
If you're trying to break down a mountain, if you keep chipping its little blocks, little bricks every day, you discover over time you'd achieve a lot, right? But a lot of people
Exactly.
want to just achieve a lot in one day, and they say Rome was not built in a day, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, just keep pushing for your dreams, right? If you
yes,
don't
sir.
go for something in life, right, you'll never know the joy, the ecstasy of victory, of
Mm-hmm.
achieving. Yes, and when you achieve something that means a lot to you in life, it makes you more confident about yourself, and it's a big step towards self-actualization, right?
Yeah, preach.
Yeah. Maybe someday I'll be a pastor in the future.
Yeah,
We don't
preach.
know.
Motivate. Speak.
Okay. Oh, motivational speaker. Interesting. I think I was searching my name on the internet recently, and I saw that way back in, was it 20? I don't know, like so many years ago, like I saw myself in a suit, skinny me, posting something about being a motivational speaker. Like, oh wow,
Wow.
yeah, being a teenager and having that dream. For me, I've always wanted to have positive impact, on people
Yeah.
around the world, especially young people, because a lot of young people have a lot of questions, have a lot of challenges, do not know the right things to do,
Yeah.
right? But then
Yeah.
when you have people pointing them in the right direction, it actually saves lives,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a multiplier effect on other people, because when you influence one person, that one person goes out to influence other people around
Exactly.
them, right?
Yeah.
And it's really fantastic to see role models like yourself, myself, at least give back to the society that has given us a lot to be able to be on a good path, right,
Right.
towards achieving success in life. So we have a tradition on the pod, right? So the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest, right? So
Mm-hmm.
do you want to know the question that was left for you?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, if you are given the power to lead, how would you change the world around you?
I think if I was given the power to lead, I know that changes, like I said, changes start small, you know. So I would try to, if I was given to the power to lead anything, I would start at, try to change the individuals, you know. So um like if it was like if I was in charge of like the country, I guess I would like start with trying to impact like the families, like the core, like yeah, households, you know. And I think that would, trickle out to, communities, and then regionally, nationally, and then the country, you know. But if I was trying, yeah, if I was trying to change, I was kind of, I know that I have to like kind of change the smallest part. I can't. It's there's no such thing as like big changes, you know. But I have to like start small and then get big. I guess whatever I'm doing.
Interesting. That reminds me of back in uni, taking courses in sociology. They say the family is the primary social institution, right? And when the family
Yeah,
gets it right,
yeah,
the entire society would, likely get it right. You know, uh, I
right.
think they say
Yeah,
charity begins at home, right?
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so finally, what question would you like to leave for the next guest to answer?
Oh man. Okay. I would like to ask, what would you want what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want your legacy to be?
What would you
Hold on.
love your legacy to be? Wow. Thank you very
Yeah.
much. So, family man, thank you very much, my Niger brother. I really appreciate your time today. God bless you. Hi. Wow, you've got really cute kids.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, brother. Your time is really, really appreciated. I can end the
No
recording
problem,
now.
man.